All right. Well, hi. Thank you, Jen, for joining us today. My name's Alana Croteau, and I am a partner with Freeman Mathis and Gary. And today we are going to be talking about the legal roles in insurance. And I have Jen Glazier with me, and she is Associate Corporate Counsel at AmTrust Financial. So welcome, Jen.
Thanks, Alana. I'm excited to be here to talk about what I do.
All right. Well, we are doing the day in the life, different roles. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about your role and what you do.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm Associate Corporate Counsel on the U.S. Business Legal Team at AmTrust Financial Services. And attorneys play many different roles within an insurance company. My team specifically provides legal support to all AmTrust business units and related departments in North America, which includes the US, Canada, and Bermuda. The bulk of our time is devoted to North American commercial P&C business and North American warranty and specialty risk, providing contract support with drafting and negotiation. So for us and our team, our clients are the business units, and we're often the first point of contact when our business partners encounter legal issues. To support the business, we often interact with our legal department colleagues and beyond. So sometimes we'll work with regulatory and compliance or finance, underwriting, reinsurance. Our work kind of takes us to all over within our company.
Sounds like your interactions go throughout the company. So that's kind of neat because I'm sure you get a really good perspective on how the business works.
Definitely, yeah.
That's great.
And so sometimes we'll respond to business questions that have legal implications. So we need to consider the full impact of our legal guidance when we're working with these business units so that they have the full picture and can make informed decisions on their business. But ultimately, our job is to protect AmTrust because we need to make sure the company is protected from liability. So that kind of rings true through all that we do.
So if I were going to step in your shoes or shadow you for a day, can you tell me a little bit more about what a day in the life of a corporate counsel would look like?
So every day is a little different. It often depends on the priorities and expectations of our business partners. So while I might start the day with one priority, by 10 a.m. I'll get an urgent email that shifts my focus for the day. So that's definitely challenging. But when I'm not drafting a contract, I might be talking to a business partner about a contract or potential opportunity. So our team provides legal and strategic business advice throughout all phases of a contractual relationship. We may advise on appropriate transactional structures, help to negotiate appropriate terms, and ultimately draft and review transactional documents. We're also the go-to for NDAs is the starting point for any relationship.
Yes, before you can, and just for folks that are not familiar with NDAs, what is an NDA?
NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. So we require the partners to maintain confidentiality when exploring and discussing potential relationships.
All right. What do you think the primary skills are that you need for someone in your role?
So first and foremost, you need a law degree with bar admission in at least one state.
Okay. Do you have to be barred in the state that you are located in, or is it just any state and then you can basically serve as corporate counsel?
For my role, and I think most corporate counsel roles, you don't need to be barred in the state of domicile of the company to provide the legal support.
Okay. Great. And then, so I would assume just someone who is looking to go into law, this is one of the avenues that they can take. And so your preparation for this role is basically an interest in the law and going through, and taking the bar. Did you start out in this role right out of law school, or did you do anything before you came into this role?
So I actually joined AmTrust in 2017 as a compliance specialist, working in one business unit, assisting with licensing and compliance issues. So that developed over time, and that gave me a different perspective once I joined the legal team in 2020. And
I'm sure it helps you understand something, about what you're doing today and how it ties to the compliance department. So that's a great insight.
It was, and it definitely benefits me now, but that was only for one small business unit, or not small, sorry, they're huge, but one business unit in the great, AmTrust universe. So it definitely was eye-opening when I joined the legal team in 2020 and learned about all of these other teams and departments that end up supporting an international insurance company.
I'm sure it was eye-opening, to say the least. So I guess one of the questions that we have been asking our interviewees in these sessions is, what is the rose in your role and what is the thorn? So if you could tell me a little bit more about the pluses and minuses of being a corporate counsel.
Sure. So one great aspect, or the rose, so to speak, is that I get to interact with many different business partners in a variety of areas within the company. Although some days I feel like I haven't scratched the surface while I've, broadened my perspective since 2017. I encounter so many people that I have to ask, like, what do you do? What business unit do you support? And sometimes I say what I do, and they're like, for who? Who are those? Who's that group? And so there's just a wide world out there. And then, so the thorn would be, because we support so many different business units, managing the competing priorities is challenging.
I'm sure it's a juggling act sometimes, especially when you have those urgent calls that come in at 10 a.m. after you had your day set up and you have to respond to something urgent. So
definitely. And then if every unit says, oh, we only have, 2 items that are priority for this week, but I work with 4 or 5 different units, my to-do list grows pretty quickly throughout the week.
I can imagine. So how many people are on your team?
Our team has, let's see, I think 7 attorneys.
Okay. So that's, it sounds like it's maybe grown recently, and that probably helps with the capacity issues that may come along with trying to, address all of the urgent matters that come your way. So
it is, it's definitely helpful to have our team grow. And I mean, while law school doesn't specifically prepare you for this career path, it gives you the necessary skills needed for critical thinking and analysis of legal issues. But everyone comes with a different perspective, whether they, specialized in program business or reinsurance or different legal paths they may have taken that brought them here. There's always a learning curve to understand, how our company handles certain things and how we operate.
Yeah, so that makes sense. It's not something that you're going to walk in the door and know exactly what you're doing on day one. It's a process, and it sounds like it's an interesting process with all of the different things that you get to touch. So I guess that would lead me to maybe some common misconceptions that people have about your role or your department.
So I think one misconception is that our job is easy, in the sense that I'll have a business partner tell me, oh, this contract won't take too much time. And, all you have to do is draft the letter or draft the addendum or any document they need, or just review the email and let me know what you think. And it's sometimes down the rabbit hole to understand the background, what underlying agreements might be at play. Are there any conflicts with whatever new opportunity they're exploring and the original agreement? And also to have, due diligence on my end and fully understand, before I can just draft something, what is the history and relationship with the counterparty? Do I need to take those aspects into consideration when I'm drafting? So we sometimes raise issues or notice things that other people might not see or recognize when the initial request comes in.
That's why you're there. That's what your job is to understand those nuances that may not be as readily apparent to your business partners. So that's a really crucial skill set that you're bringing to the table, and a crucial role for the company. So
yeah, and that will take what would be a quick and easy assignment and turn it into a lengthier, more complicated task. And my manager always gives us this wisdom, Steve Unger, the general counsel. He says we need to have all the facts when we talk to him about certain issues, he's like, well, do you have the facts? And he'll always think of some nuanced question that could change our evaluation or review and the insight. And so I'm trying to have that in my mind where I'm like, do I have all the facts? Do I know exactly what they're trying to do? One skill that I think
go prepared to those conversations and be able to
exactly
say, yes, I have all those facts. So
yeah. And so that kind of brings me back to skills. Like something that's been beneficial to me is to really build relationships with my business partners and understand, what do they do? What's important to them? How do they operate? What kind of time constraints do they have in mind? So I can respond and be attentive to those needs from the business perspective. And so that goes into like the background of exploring a task at hand.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like a really interesting role, and I really appreciate you taking some time to give us more details about what you do, and I appreciate your time. So thank you.
Of course, thanks for having me.